Greetings, everyone. Let me start out by saying I have since forgiven my father, but forgiveness does not mean that I forget. I have not forgotten. It's hard to forgive when no one in your family acknowledge the pain and suffering that you're going through or have gone through. It's hard to move on from that. But for my own purpose, for my own sake, that hurt feeling that I had inside, that resentment I felt, I had to let it go, not because of my father, but for my own sake. But I'm doing this video just to remind persons who are at the point where they're thinking, I'm going to Jamaica. I want to go back home. And because I want to return to Jamaica, I want to build my home. That is a very good thing. I often see people on social media showing off in other person's house, showing off other person's costumes on their body, showing off Gucci bag and all these nonsense. And when I see it, it just makes me think to myself, what is wrong with my people? Because all that money we waste on material things, we could be using that to grow our wealth, which is by land. Okay, so the purpose of this video is not to lament what happened, is to really share some of what happened and to see how I could have done better. So when I was taking out loans and I was, living from paycheck to paycheck, trying to get this project up and running. And when I was pressured by my father to say, make sure you finish his house because it was being built on his property. And he's like, I don't want it to look messy. I don't want the house to look having a house that's not complete makes my place look, mash up. And so I was pressured that way. And so I would always and constantly, provide him with extra money to do this or that to find out later on that, for example, sending $500 three different times to do the painting and finding out that no painting was ever done, or sending money to fix a foundation for a place that was just building. By the time they put on the deck, he's saying the foundation was no good. Remember, I'm a woman and I didn't really know these things. But what people have to remember is this is my father, a father that I love and a father that I had a wonderful relationship with. I'm going to tell you, because of my childhood experiences with my father, I can now get to the place where I say I forgive because I can't forget the friendship that I had with him. So when I moved to the city before I came here, for that 5 years, we're close. We're close. This is my friend. This is my friend that I explain to say, here is where I'm at. I live here, but Jamaica is home. And when I return, I want to have my own little space, a little place I can call my own. And if and when I move back home, my children should always know that they should be able or can come home anytime they want, and they don't have to have money. Because once you have property in Jamaica, you don't have to have money to go. A lot of times people stay away from going back home because they don't have the cash to pay somebody or to stay in a hotel or so on. So when you have a little space, even if it's just a little room, you feel better because if anything happens to me, I got this little place I can rest my head. Now, for me, I used to be against taking out a mortgage. I just wanted to build something. And if something happened to my job or to me in my health, and I couldn't finish, it wouldn't be a big deal. And so I wanted to just do the work gradually and add to it and things like that. That was my mindset. I didn't want to be caught or be trapped in with Babylon and their system. And so when the offer came to me, I jumped on it. And I'm saying to you, unless you purchase your own land, do not do it. So in my mind, this is my daddy. So he's saying, come build with me. I'm not thinking anything of it because I had another choice. There was an alternative choice to build in the home that I grew up in. And when I evaluated the thing, the woman who lives in that house has children. and she has a man. And so I had to weigh my options to say that's a bad idea to build with her when her kids could just come and cause chaos. So I didn't do that. I abandoned that, even though she suggested that. And now I see that would have been a disaster anyway. And I chose to go with my father, my friend, a person who says, I'm done in relationships. I'm not going to have relationships with anybody else. So if you do this with me, then it'll be us. Nobody will bother you. To this day, I mean, every time I have conversation with people in the family here who is promising my place to, he's not saying, oh, this is both of our place, because that was the intention. And when I was sending money to build my portion of the place, he was oftentimes taking it and doing things in his own house. Do you understand? Anyway, don't build on other person's property. It doesn't matter if it is your father or your mother. Mother or father have blesses the child that have his or her own. So that was a big mistake on my part. See, I always tell you, whenever we're looking back at what people do to us, we have to examine what we do to ourselves. Now, at one point, after thousands of dollars was spent, and one of my relatives told me, okay, this is the deal. They never told me, they never warned me, never said anything, even though I was talking to them all the time. They kept the secret, but suddenly, I don't know if it's conscience, I don't know what it is. And she said, this is what's going on thousands of dollars later. And by this time, when she tells me, well, don't send anymore, and I think to myself, all that I have lost, I can't afford to lose all of that. So that's another thing. Sometimes when you lose a lot, you still stand to lose more. And in that case, it's okay to abandon. See, I was thinking, I can't abandon it now. It's almost finished. So I got to continue. See, that point when she was saying, go to the bank and deal with the bank, I was thinking, why didn't you say this earlier on? We're talking about giving the work out, building the place, and giving the work out, and people would come on the job from Monday to Friday and sleep, drink drunk and sleep, and I would be paying at the end of that week, not knowing. So it doesn't matter if it's your blood relative, it doesn't matter if your children. You have to be able to see the work being done by yourself. During the time when while the home was being built, I never visited. This is how I trusted this person. I didn't go oversee my own work because he's built more than one house. So I know he's capable, and I'm thinking I can trust him, and he lives there, so he knows how to get the material at the cost, and that type of thing. Don't trust anybody like that. You go and oversee your own work. You go and buy your own material. If you're not able to get away from where you live, then you need to put it aside. Put your money in the bank. The money is going to appreciate. It's not going to depreciate. Appreciate in value over time. So sometimes we're afraid to deal with the bank. But sometimes the money is more secure at the bank than it is with your loved ones. Unfortunately, don't build on people's land. Supervise your own work. Do the legwork. Don't take someone's word for it. You have to do the investigation. Find out these things for yourself, because when they tell you something is 500, it is probably $100. Okay, I heard that the job was finished and that all these things were done. And when I went in, I had heard that someone threw a stone through one of my window and broke it. And I demanded that it be fixed after 6 months of getting the runaround. And I was told that it was fixed. When I got there, it was not fixed. I had to get someone else to install new windows. Doors that I thought were finished, I was told they were finished. I had to get someone to install these doors for me. House that I heard was painted was not painted. I had to get someone to paint the house for me. And not to mention brand new fittings like bathtubs and stuff that I put in, only to go and see people put in rock stone. That evil woman next door put rock stone, like, the concrete, when it breaks down, they put it in the bathtub. Bathtub has all these damages and no one ever used it. The part that was finally completed had big when the hurricane came, lady took her wood and stuff from under her cellar and pack it in my space until rat and roach took over the place. Listen, I'm not telling the story for anybody to feel sorry for me. I'm just saying for you who love Jamaica and want to make it your home and decide that you want to build. It's a good thing because when you're not there, you can rent it and all that stuff. I can't even rent the house when you think about it now because it's not really my land. See, that was a mistake I made. I should have said, sell me a piece of your land and get my paperwork. I'll do a part 2 in this series because it's very important and people are still making the mistakes that I did. Stay blessed, everyone.